Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive, and today we're tackling something I think we can all relate to. Memory. Why do we remember some things so clearly and others, well, they're just gone, like poof.
Yeah, it's really remarkable, isn't it? How some memories feel like they happened yesterday.
Exactly. So we're digging into that today. The science of memory, what makes us remember, what makes us forget.
And not just the everyday stuff, like forgetting where you put your keys. We're going deep, looking at research, historical cases, even a bit of philosophy.
Oh yeah, we went all in on the research for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so to really get this, we need to start with the foundation. How did we even begin to understand memory?
Right. We have to go back to the pioneers. Like, think about it. For centuries, people just thought of memory as like one big thing.
Like a library, right?
Yeah.
All those memories just filed away neatly.
Exactly. But then comes this guy, Hermann Ebbinghaus, late 1800s, doing these really rigorous experiments, way before we had brain imaging and all that.
Yeah, wasn't he the one who memorized all those, nonsense syllables?
Exactly. Lists and lists of them. He was his own test subject. Years of memorizing gibberish.
Talk about dedication to science, right? But that's how he discovered the forgetting curve, didn't he?
Exactly. He figured out that we don't forget things at a steady pace. It's fast at first, then it slows down.
So, cramming for a test the night before might not be the best strategy.
Yeah, that's a whole other deep dive. But yeah, understanding that forgetting curve is super helpful for learning and remembering things effectively.
Fascinating. So Ebbinghaus gave us this way to actually measure memory, to study it scientifically.
That's right. He brought data to a field that was mostly philosophical before, and that paved the way for so much more research.
Speaking of research, this next story is incredible. Henry Molaison. I think most people know him as HM.
This case, it really changed everything we thought we knew about memory.
Okay, remind me. What happened to him? I had to do with surgery, right?
Yeah, so he had really bad epilepsy. And in 1953, they did this surgery, removing parts of his hippocampus to try and treat it.
Okay, the hippocampus. We're going to hear that a lot today, folks. But the surgery? It didn't go as planned.
Well, it worked for the epilepsy, but the unintended consequence? Amnesia.
So, total memory loss.
Not total. This is what's so interesting. He couldn't form new long-term memories, but his short-term memory, fine.
What? So he could remember things for a little while, but then just gone.
Yeah, it's like his brain couldn't hit that save button for new information. But get this, he could still learn new skills.
Wait, hold on. So he could learn something but not remember learning it. What? How does that even...
Exactly. He could learn, say, a new drawing technique, but the next day, he wouldn't remember ever doing it.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. So what does that tell us?
It tells us that memory isn't one big thing, right? There are different types of memory using different parts of the brain.
Okay, yeah, this is getting really interesting. Our brains are way more complex than we realize.
Exactly. And HM's case was a huge clue to figuring that out. It was like, boom, different memory systems exist.
So our phones. We think of it as one device, but inside there's all these different systems working together.
Exactly. And just like with a phone, different parts can be affected, leading to different glitches, so to speak.
Okay, hold on. Before we go any further, let's break down those different types of memory because I'm already getting lost. What were they again?
So first up, declarative memory. This is for facts, events, like knowing the capital of France or what you had for breakfast.
Okay, I think I can remember that. What else?
Then there's procedural memory. This is for skills, habits, riding a bike, playing an instrument, stuff you do without really thinking about it.
Ah, yeah, like muscle memory. And what was that one where you relive experiences?
That's episodic memory, your personal highlight reel, so to speak, first day of school, that awesome vacation, those kinds of things.
Right. And then the last one, it was like our mental dictionary.
Exactly. Right? Semantic memory, all that general knowledge we accumulate about the world.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So all these different memory systems, and they can all be affected differently.
Exactly. And that brings us back to HM. His hippocampus was damaged, and that messed with certain types of memories. But other systems were still working.
Wow, this is incredible. So memory really is way more than just remembering what you had for breakfast.
It's a whole world within our brains, and we're just scratching the surface. And believe me, there's a lot more to explore. You know, it's funny, before we really started digging into all this, I used to think of forgetting as a personal failing.
Oh, totally.
Wait.
If I can't remember someone's name or where I put my keys, it's like, come on, brain, you're letting me down.
Right. But what we're learning is that forgetting, it's not a glitch. It's actually part of how our brains work.
So it's not us being bad at remembering.
Yeah.
It's our brains actually doing their thing.
Exactly. It's about prioritizing, adapting. Imagine if you remembered absolutely everything.
Oh my gosh, my brain would be like overloaded.
Right. So forgetting actually helps us focus on what's important. But of course, we all want to improve our memory, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what can we do? Is it all just brain games and crossword puzzles?
Well, those can help, but there's a lot more to it. Let's start with some techniques that have been around for ages. Mnemonics.
Mnemonics. Okay, that rings a bell. Like using acronyms and rhymes and stuff.
Exactly. They're like mental tools. Think of ROYGBV for remembering the colors of the rainbow.
Oh, yeah. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. I still use that. See, it works.
Right. And there's the method of loci, or the memory palace technique.
A memory palace. Okay, that sounds intriguing.
It's using our spatial memory. You imagine a familiar place, like your house, and you put the things you want to remember in different rooms.
So you're creating a mental map. That's actually pretty clever.
Yeah, it takes practice, but people use it to memorize tons of information, like decks of cards, speeches, you name it.
Wow, so we can train our brains to be better at remembering.
Yeah.
But what about, like, our everyday habits? Does that affect memory?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. A healthy lifestyle is good for your body, right? It's good for your brain, too.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So what should we be doing?
First off, sleep. It's crucial. Our brains process memories while we sleep, moving them from short-term to long-term storage.
So those all-nighters I pulled in college, probably not helping my memory now, huh?
Probably not. And just like sleep, exercise is key. It gets blood flowing to the brain, even helps grow new brain cells.
So hitting the gym is good for my biceps and my brain. Nice. What about food?
Huge. A healthy diet full of fruits, veggies, omega-3s, it all helps keep your brain functioning at its best.
So maybe skip those brain-boosting supplements and just eat a salad.
A balanced diet is always the best way to go. And speaking of things that affect our memory, we can't forget emotions.
Emotions. Really? I thought memory was all about, like, facts and data.
Emotions are super powerful. Think about it. You're more likely to remember things that were emotionally charged, good or bad.
That's true. I can remember some intense moments from years ago, but I can't even remember what I ate for lunch yesterday.
Right. It's because emotions trigger these hormones that actually help solidify memories.
So it's like our brains are saying, this is important, we got to remember this.
Exactly. And this also explains why we tend to remember traumatic experiences so vividly. It's a survival mechanism.
Wow, that's fascinating. So this emotional connection to memory applies to learning too, right?
Oh, absolutely. If something makes you laugh or cry or really connects with you personally, you're more likely to remember it.
It's like those teachers who told stories and made things fun. I actually remember stuff from their classes.
Exactly. Tapping into emotions makes learning stick. It reminds us that our brains aren't just cold, logical machines.
This is all blowing my mind. Memory is way more complex than I ever realized.
It really is. It's this incredible interplay between different brain regions, our lifestyle, our emotions, everything.
And forgetting is a part of that, not something to be afraid of.
Exactly. It's all part of what makes our memory so amazing. And trust me, there's still so much more to uncover.
Right, we're back for the final part of our memory deep dive. And I have to say, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about, well, the things we don't remember.
Yeah, it's a whole other side to this, isn't it? And for some people, forgetting isn't just occasional, it's a daily struggle.
Exactly. So today we're talking memory disorders. And I think it's important to start by acknowledging this is serious stuff. It affects millions of people.
Absolutely. When forgetting becomes a disorder, it impacts everything, not just the individual, but their families, their whole world.
Right. And it really makes you realize how much we rely on our memory for, well, everything. So what are we talking about here? What are some of the most common memory disorders?
Well, the one most people have heard of is Alzheimer's disease. Sadly, it's the most common cause of dementia.
Right. And it's not just memory loss, is it? It affects so much more.
Yeah, it's a gradual decline impacting thinking, language, behavior, even personality. It's devastating.
And as far as we know, there's no cure, right? It's a really tough diagnosis. What about amnesia? That's another one we hear a lot about.
Yeah, but amnesia is actually quite different. It's usually a more specific loss of memories, often tied to an event or a period of time.
So it's not like those movies where someone bumps their head and forgets everything about who they are.
Right. It can be caused by all sorts of things, head injuries, strokes, even psychological trauma, and it manifests in different ways.
So, like, what are the different types of amnesia?
Well, there's retrograde amnesia. That's when you lose memories from before the triggering event, like forgetting years of your life.
Wow, that's intense. And what's the other one?
Anterograde amnesia. This is where you can't form new memories after the event.
Oh, wow. So it's like you're stuck in time.
In a way, yeah. It's like your memory can't move forward. And those are just two examples. There are other memory disorders out there.
Like what?
Well, Parkinson's disease can cause memory problems. And Huntington's disease, which is genetic, that affects memory and other cognitive functions too.
It seems like there's so much we still don't know about these disorders.
Mm.
But what about treatment? Is there any hope?
Oh, absolutely. Research is happening all the time, and we're learning more and more. For Alzheimer's, there are medications that can help slow things down.
That's good to hear, at least. And what about other approaches besides medication?
Well, lifestyle plays a huge role. Exercise, diet, staying mentally active, it can all make a difference. And social connection is so important too.
Yeah, having a support system makes a huge difference, especially when facing something like this. So even though these are serious conditions, there are things we can do, both to potentially prevent and to manage them.
Exactly. And research is constantly evolving. There are new technologies being explored, like brain stimulation techniques, even virtual reality.
It's amazing to think how far we've come in understanding the brain.
Uh,
And who knows what the future holds.
right. But even with all we're learning, I think the biggest takeaway is that memory is precious, but it's also incredibly complex. It's not this fixed thing, it's constantly changing, being shaped by our experiences.
And forgetting, as annoying as it can be, is actually a part of that process. It's not always a bad thing.
Exactly. It's what helps our brains adapt, prioritize. And the more we understand how it all works, the better equipped we are to keep our memories sharp and to support those who are struggling.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
It's been a fascinating journey.
Absolutely. From those early pioneers to the cutting-edge research, it's mind-blowing to see how much we've learned about memory and forgetting. And who knows what mysteries we'll uncover next.
The brain is full of surprises.
That's for sure. But for now, we're going to hit that pause button. And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed exploring this amazing world inside your own head.
Keep those memories firing.
And never stop learning.
Hmm?
Until next time.